What is going on? It is almost 11 o'clock and we're almost at August, so we've had a good solid 2 months of extreme heat, and these three guys are my Pluerries. 3 different varieties of Pluerries that I got from Gary at Laguna Hills Nursery. He has some really good videos. I'll put a link to his videos on there. I would have known about these things had I not watched his videos or how to plant them. And then when I actually visited him, he showed me how to plant them because they just replanted them because they were bare root, I guess. And they put them in new pots, and he said, don't plant these until the summer or until the fall. But if you have to get them in the ground, which I have a hard time watering potted plants for some reason, I like just getting them in the ground. He showed me a good way to be able to plant these in the ground. So I'll put a link to that video on how I planted the Pluerries. It was a really good idea, and it seems to have worked. So this is the Candy Heart Pluerry. I'll zoom back a little bit more so that you can see the whole thing. It is about 5.5 feet tall. It started off as 2.5 feet tall, so it has doubled in size. It's pretty darn big. Looking great though. New growth that's coming off of these things. That is a good sign. It was touch and go there for a little bit, but it seems to be doing good. There is a little bit of burning on the edges of some of these leaves, which is fine to get a little bit here and there. But on some of the other growth, it's not. So I'm keeping it at the current rate of where I'm watering it. And I think it's about 24 gallons per week, somewhere in there, 20 to 24 gallons per week, which I know is a lot, but these things, they need a lot of water to be able to start rooting down and growing good. So Candy Heart Pluerry is supposed to be one of the best Pluerries you could ever get, and it's one of the largest Pluerries. Now, what is a Pluerry? It is a plum cherry hybrid. So they took the flower, the stoma, and fertilized it with either a cherry or with a plum to be able to get this variety. So it's not a genetically modified. There's lots of videos you can watch, or just Google it online, see if it's a GMO. Pluerries are not. Our family just had a Pluerry this last week, and it tasted so good and so sweet. This one here is the Sweet Treat Pluerry, and you can see just on the edges there, if I get it in the light, little bit of some burning going on, which is totally fine. But again, that tells me I need to increase my watering a little bit more, which I am doing. This one is not as big as the Candy Heart. It's about 5 feet, but the growth has been awesome. Just so you know a little bit about the Sweet Treat, it tends to become ripe in mid-season, which is basically right now until August. Sweet Treat. The Candy Heart is supposed to ripen in the fall. It's a late one, but the fruit is much bigger than the Sweet Treat. Sweet Treat are nice little small ones, kind of like the size between about a quarter. And I will show you next year when I get some, hopefully when I get some. This last one is the Flavor Punch Pluerry, and it is not as big as the other two, but it still is, not as big as in terms of broad, still growing. So I did my summer pruning a week or 2 ago, and it's getting some nice growth that's coming around the corner there. This one is also a late season. It is September, actually, when this one grows. So I should have the Sweet Treat, July, August, Flavor Punch, and Candy Heart at around the same time in the fall, late August, early September, which will be great. And I've heard that the Pluerries will stay on the tree ripe for weeks, meaning like not just 2 weeks like most peaches, or 1 week for some peaches, but or 1 week for the plums, but it will stay on there for 4 to 6 weeks. You can just slowly pick them off for 4 to 6 weeks, which will be awesome. Now, you might ask, why on earth would I want, if this is the first summer that these guys are in the ground and growing, why would I want fruit to grow on them? Because I don't want them to get that big. And if I remove the fruit, then I'm telling them to grow instead of putting the energy into the fruit. But I want to keep these at a maintained size. They're spaced about 5 feet apart. And in order to maintain that, if I have fruit growing on it, it will put energy into the fruit as opposed to in growth. These guys are already big enough. They're 5.5 to 5 feet tall. Next year, even with the fruit on, they'll get to about 6 feet, and I don't want to get bigger than that. So I hope that that helps in terms of Pluerries. There's one other Pluerry that I do want to purchase. I just don't know where on earth I'll plant it. Maybe I could do a graft on that other Pluerry and see if I can get all 4 growing here. So I hope that information was beneficial or helpful with Pluerries, but here in the desert, they seem to grow pretty good as long as you have a sandy loam soil and some good mulch. I have this mulch about 4 to 6 inches deep. And also I water it 3 times a week here in their first year. Next year, I will just water them twice a week and possibly even once a week, depending upon how they fare in this hot temperature. Because it does get 110 degrees here in St. George, Utah, which is pretty darn hot, but they are making it. So, okay, hope that info is beneficial for you. Leave your questions and comments below. Thank you and have a stellar day.